Everybody would like to have the opportunity to be like Scrooge McDuck and dive into a giant bin full of money and that you can swim through. However, that's probably not going to be the case for most of us, especially when you think about how hard those coins are. My name is Phil, and you're listening to The Lip. Here we go again. It's time for The Lip. I am here today on September 5th, 2024, bringing you an episode about getting rich quick. Admittedly, I am far from rich, and at 46, I don't necessarily know that it's in the cards for me, but of course, you can never tell. You might come up with some idea that I'm unaware of and might be able to cash in. Of course, I have other options that are going to be discussed on this episode, and truly, a lot of them aren't great. But, like anything, they're not totally fictitious, if you know what I mean. Somebody got rich doing this, and sometimes they probably are going to get even richer off of the backs of the people who try the things that they're asking you to do. What can I tell you? It is what it is. Somebody's going to make a profit on it. Why can't it be me? Why can't it be you? Well, I'm going to get into that a little bit on this episode. Hopefully, you will stick with me as we kind of go through a couple of these things that I found to be, well, sketchy isn't the word to use, but maybe it is. Certainly it's something that some of these things are things that people have probably seen, and they look at it and they ask themselves, is it possible? Could I be the person to make this work? And that's what makes all this stuff so much, I guess you could say, so enticing to people, because it seems like somebody's got to make it work, because if they didn't, you couldn't really do this, because it would literally be outright 100% fraud. So that means that somebody, somewhere, has done something to make these systems work. And then, of course, that makes people scratch their head, and they say, why not me? If not me, who? Those questions start going through your head. And once you start thinking like that, all of a sudden, a lot of this stuff starts to sound real good. And don't get me wrong, I think that everybody should have a little entrepreneurial spirit to them, because if they don't, well, that just takes away from a little bit of the joy of life. I think so. I think that everybody should just have a little touch of entrepreneurialism in them. Something that makes them say, you know what? What if I did this? Would it be able to benefit me? Would I be able to make a profit? And do I enjoy doing it more than what I'm doing right now? For example, the background for this episode is another one of my one-of-one pieces. I call this one Ninth. Now, the reason why I call it Ninth is because I made a very similar piece to this when I was in ninth grade in art class. Colors are about the same, and the idea was about the same. Now, my question is, if I sell this one-of-one piece, will it begin me on the journey to getting rich quick? Better still, how about the person who buys it? Over time, will my work begin to appreciate and value, and perhaps will my art pieces make somebody else rich quick by turning them over? That's another very fascinating thought. Hopefully, it will work for both me and my buyer. But as for now, I'm going to talk to you about filling in the blanks. Let's see what we got for you today. Here we go. The question for fill in the blank today is pretty simple. What is the most exciting time of year for me personally to collect cereal boxes? That blank is filled in very simply by me saying it's right now. The September window through October, because there's a lot of new cereal boxes coming out, and the reason is because Halloween brings out some different types of artistry on boxes, and it's the time of year where General Mills brings out the monster cereals, Count Chocula, Frankenberry, and Boo Berry. Of course, in recent years, they've also brought back some of the older and retired monsters. There was two others that they had. Fruit Brute, which is a cherry-flavored cereal, and Fruity Yummy Mummy, which is a orange creamsicle cereal. And in the last couple of years, they created a totally new character. Her name is Carmilla Creeper, and she happens to be the cousin of Frankenberry. It's interesting. She's his cousin. And her flavor is apple, a caramel apple. Really pretty decent cereal. It's a good idea. And then, of course, they have some mashups where they have all the different cereals in that monster genre all mixed together. And I always find it interesting because when the monster cereals come out, they have really cool art on all of them. And they're some of my favorites in my collection. And I've got several years worth of different monster cereal boxes. And they're really cool. And personally, I thought that some of the ones that they did had some shiny art to them, and they were really neat in the last 20 years. But now in the last 2 or 3 years, they've come up with the more nostalgia boxes, because originally, when the monster cereals came out, they had just a flat white background with a monster on it, and they're doing that again now. And I think that's pretty cool. I really like the monster cereal boxes in recent years, but this time period, September to October, is what fills in the blank to the question, what is my favorite time to collect cereal boxes. It's right now, the window of the fall cereal boxes between September and November-ish, the Halloween, Christmas area time, cereal boxes. Okay. It's now time for the main event. We're going to talk about getting rich, and getting rich quick. It's the dream of everyone. Now, personally, I can say that when I'm walking down the streets of Philadelphia, I haven't had the opportunity to trip over a 40-pound uncut diamond just laying on the ground. Hasn't happened to me. Nor have, in the process of doing lawn care, cutting the grass, things like that, have I uncovered a 50-pound gold nugget. Now, up here in the Northeast, probably have a better chance of getting a little bit of oil, actually, because, well, Quaker State, company that makes oil, it's here in Pennsylvania, but they kind of corner the market on that. So it's probably not going to be a chance for me to maybe strike the black gold or the oil. So, what would I do? Well, I believe, if memory serves me correct, and my memory is a little off, and maybe it's because of the potential 6 concussions that I'm aware of. But I could certainly say that winning the lottery is probably the best bet for anyone to get rich quick. Now, personally, I've said it before recently, if I remember correctly, which I'm pretty sure I did. I said that I was going to slow down on the lottery because I did the quick math on how much money that I was actually burning up in order to try to hit the big score. Now, admittedly, I believe it was somewhere in the neighborhood of $400 that I would spend every single year based on the amount of money that I would consume in lottery tickets. $400 a year. That's a fairly significant number. Now, and that's a rough number. I didn't actually put it together and do the math fully, but it's probably around that neighborhood. Because when the lottery, either the Powerball or the Mega Millions, gets to what I consider FU money, which you can pretty much understand what the FU is. What my plan was to play that, probably 2 tickets, and then I like the cash for life, the win for life. And I would get one of those. So you figure I would do that maybe 2-3 times a week. Those tickets are $2 each, without the multipliers on the other ones. So if I were to play those tickets 2-3 times a week, I believe the lottery goes off for those Mega Millions and the Powerball. So you just see simple math, $2, and then the cash for life, which is $2. That's $6. And we would do that 3 times a week. 3 times 6, 18. $18 a week. You figure that's going to add up over time, right? That's going to be a few bucks. 10 weeks of $18 a week. What would that add up to? That's like a silly number, isn't it? Take that 0, add it to the back. And we're talking $180 in 10 weeks. And then you just keep going. It's not a nice number when it comes down to it. But it creeps up on you very slowly. The odds of making it and winning one of those FU jackpots, as I like to say, not great. We're talking in the billions. And if you're only playing 1 ticket, of course, the logic is you only need 1 to win. Probably not going to have the best odds of actually winning. And that's why I started to stop playing the lottery. And like I said, because I would be spending when it got really big. When it got to what I believe is FU money. And to me, my definition of that is when the jackpot gets over 400 million. Because once it's at that point and you take the cash option, you're probably going to be sitting around 200 million in cash, give or take, after the taxes. And if you put that just in a simple savings account and just live off of the interest alone, probably your great grandkids will still be thanking you. And you can pretty much do whatever you want. Now, it doesn't get to that number all that often, but when it does, that's when I would ramp up how many tickets I would get. I would definitely do the 3 times a week, because the jackpot, as it doesn't win, doesn't get smaller, it just keeps getting bigger. And that's when I would buy those tickets 3 times a week. Of course, I haven't hit that lottery. And after I did the math about how much money that I was actually losing, I said, maybe I would be better off just keeping the money. But, admittedly, I am not going to lie. This lottery jackpot now is up to about 720 or 30 million. That's coming up. And between my mother and I decided to buy a couple of tickets. Now, granted, these are the first tickets I bought since I decided to swear off the lottery. So apparently, I'm thinking that this amount of money could just be my get-rich-quick opportunity. Well, at least I'm going to give this one a shot. But the difference is, did I spend over $100 in tickets? No. Have I spent $100 in tickets this year? No. Because, like I said, I realize that the odds are not necessarily going to be in my favor, but why not take the $2 investment and get a $700 million return on investment, right? But that's definitely going to be the exception and not the rule. I'm not going to go and play when it gets to 20 million. I'm probably not going to go and play when it gets to 150 million. That sort of deal. It's like I'm going to have at least the discipline to know that it's going to have to be way up there with the FU money before I even consider spending $2 on it. Because at the end of the day, I can stockpile and I can do better off for myself at the end of the year by just keeping the cash. And that's pretty much what my plan is. Now, here comes even more fun stuff. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that most of you by now who are on Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, and every once in a while you see it on even YouTube, where these gurus talk about, do you want to make an extra $1,000 a week, an extra $5,000 a month, all this stuff? I've been noticing it, and truthfully, it's what really inspired me to do this show. So I started digging through a bunch of these essentially get rich quick, not necessarily pyramids, because it's not based on, for the most part, from what I've been seeing, it's not based on how many people you can get to do it to make you money, but it's more so just them charging you up with their free, showing air quotes that you can't see, system, which will help you generate passive income, which is the buzzword that goes around on the internet as far as these things like affiliate marketing and all these other systems that are out there. And boy, some of this stuff, it sounds mighty, mighty tempting. But when you investigate a little further, you'll realize that a lot of this stuff is probably in the neighborhood of the .com bubble, in my opinion. Just from what I can see. Because some of this affiliate marketing, some of this AI-generated money-making schemes that they're, well, not necessarily schemes, plans that they're using, create things that will generate pages and videos, and people will like them and subscribe, and will get people to generate that money that you can get from YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all those, TikTok, based on your subscription size and getting advertisements. Now, there is a lot of this stuff out there, and now that I've been studying this, I get more of this stuff on my algorithm now. It's like every other thing that I look at turns out like that now. So I'm going to have to start watching a lot of their stuff in order to get rid of it. But it turns out that some of this stuff is, how can I say, I can't say that it's necessarily legit, but I also can't say that it's not. It's more, in my opinion, like the lottery. I believe that it would be absolute 100% outright fraud and illegal if they continued to put it up there and there was no financial benefit for the people who tried it. Now, do I think that some of the practices are slightly deceptive? Yeah. But it's the clickbait that allows you to go and actually continue to watch what they're doing. They have to, just like fishing, you got to put the hook in the fish, and you have to have a nice piece of bait on it in order for the fish to bite. So you tell them things like I said earlier: do you want to make an extra $1,000 a month? Do you want to make an extra $5,000 a month? You could make up to $100,000, $500,000. I've made $250,000 this month alone. Some of these things actually say I've made $10,000 today. Not in the month, but I made $10,000 today. And my favorite ones like that say, hey, I had a $10,000 day, I had a $2,000 day, I had a $700 day. But then all of a sudden you can see the differences there. They're saying that sometimes they make a little, sometimes they make a lot, and it's enough for you to say, well, I may not make $10,000 in a day, but if I can make $500 in that day, maybe this would be worth a try. And of course, the systems are always free. That's my favorite part about these. I've gone through and I've looked at a bunch of them, and they will give you for free the system. However, the catch comes in, and that's what makes me so fascinated by these things. The catch. For your free AI, which will generate all this stuff, for your free affiliate marketing plan and website to get you set up to generate money on the internet, to pretty much get yourself that butterfly net and skim that money that's coming right to you. We will give you all this for free. But two things that make me smile every time I hear it, because they all say these. Everyone that I've seen has said it. This website will not be up here for long because some entity, be it a company that they work for, government agency, somebody, some Illuminati somewhere, doesn't want the secret that they're giving out for free to be out there for long. And so the fact that you're able to see the message that they're sending you over Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, that means that you are one of the chosen people who have an opportunity to make this money. But you better cash in now, because if you don't, the odds of me being able to leave this website up are very, very slim. That's a hook for almost all of them. And then another one that I've heard on multiple occasions is the system is free, like I told you. However, the servers cost a little bit of money in order to maintain. So in order for me to partner with you, now you're partners, right? What I need you to do is just give me a small fee in order to upkeep the servers or the system rolling. And typically, they will then charge you a nominal fee. But of course, the system is so valuable, it's worth $1,000. And just like any infomercial you've ever seen, but I'm not going to charge you $1,000. I'm not going to charge you $500. I'm not even going to charge you $200 or $100. I will just have to charge you, in order to maintain the upgrade of the system, a small fee of blank. And after you pay this small fee of blank, you will be able to help maintain the server. You will be able to help put the cost of websites, help with, I don't know, washing their car. Just saying. But the free system then all of a sudden costs you some money. That made me scratch my head just a little bit. So how is it a free system if it's costing you money? Because this system's going to make you have a passive income stream that'll allow you to go on vacations with your family and not have to work for the man and all that stuff. Okay, that's how we're going to do it. So why, then, in my research, have I discovered that the fee has been exactly the same for a few of these? Now, I've gone through it and I've noticed that there were specifically 4 totally or assumingly different affiliate marketing programs that were charging the exact same amount to maintain the system, to upgrade stuff, and it was a number $67. And that was 4 different ones that I noticed. And then I looked a little bit further into those four different plans, and each one of those plans happens to run through the same bank, which means that at the end of the day, it's one company trying to get $67 from you in order to set up an affiliate marketing plan. One company doing all the generations, setting out stuff all over the place in order to get you to join so that they can get rich off of the $67 that you're paying them, but you're getting a system that in theory is going to generate you, like I said, maybe $1,000 a week on some of them. Other systems say you can make money during the day, per day, as opposed to, like, you could get $1,000 one day, you can get $50 another day. If you pay attention to the system and you maintain it, you can pretty much generate wealth on your own time, and as much time as you put in is as much money as you'll get out of it. That's the way that they want you to work. Now, granted, I think that passive income streams, when I think of passive income streams, the only thing that comes to mind is interest on your money. Put it in the bank, get some savings accounts, money markets, whatever. They're not pretty, and it takes a little while, but you get those 2 to 6%, which is real sweet if you get 6% of your interest, and just let your money do it like that. Now, My very favorite of these internet passive income generators was this AI marketing plan that was probably my absolute favorite, and it had all the bells and whistles. And my favorite part about it was it did in fact say all the stuff. It said that it needed help with the server, but this specific thing, it's like, I can't even tell you what we're doing. Just know it's not illegal. That sent up a red flag in my mind right away. And what you have to do is a $17 buy-in, and you will get nearly $1,000 every week in your account through AI generated stuff. So you give them $17, they'll do everything else, and you will notice about $1,000 in your account every week. Every single week. Forever, from what it said. That one's my favorite. Because, like I said, they said, we aren't going to tell you what we're doing. Just know it's perfectly legal, because if we tell too much, the powers that be, the Illuminati out there, will realize what we're doing. And they will force us to shut down everything. And again, you will not have the opportunity to do this. As long as you're seeing this, you will have the opportunity. But if you decide to skip or swipe away from this video, you may not have the chance to get this back, because the powers that be, some Illuminati out there, is going to shut us down. And those who are in will be in, and those who want to get in will not be able to get in. And my favorite part of that is the $17 that we're asking you right now. If somehow we do get shut down and get to come back up, may not be able to charge only $17 next time we see you. It might be more. So get in right now. Of course, I avoided that one. Like, it literally had the bubonic plague and leprosy at the same time. And I tried to dive away from that one as quickly as I could. Almost wanted to remove the SIM card from my phone, just in case they're trying to infect and put a virus throughout my entire system. That was a negative situation. That's one that certainly isn't going to get me rich or anyone else, in my opinion, except for the people who set it up. Whew, that one was a lot. Okay. Now here's a few numbers that I found interesting, because I do think that the affiliate marketing does in fact make some people money. It's like anything. If you try it and you work at it and you fight through it and you do all the things that are required, which are not necessarily plug and play, because there's a lot of complex algorithms that you need to learn and figure out in order to get this thing to work. It would be to your advantage to know these few things. And I want to compare, and I want to give you some numbers that I found interesting. From a site called Authority Hackers. This is what I've discovered from this affiliate marketing. Now, 80% of people who get into this will make the princely sum. This is 80%. Well, let me start over again. Let me go with the smaller number. And then we'll go to, well, I don't know how I want to do it. Let me think about this for just a second. do I want to tell you about the big numbers first or the little numbers? We'll start at the bottom and work our way up. We'll do that. Which means the people who are at the lowest levels, who are not the most advanced at the affiliate marketing, but you're trying and you're struggling through it, which would be 80% of the people who do it. Authority Hacker said that somewhere between 80% of the people who do this are going to make $0 to approximately $80,000 a year. So $80,000 a year is a respectable amount of money. But that's a real wide gap. It didn't necessarily say what percentage of that 80% is actually making 80,000. One could speculate, but because I don't have any hard data, I'm not going to go ahead and say that, well, of that 80%, only about 20 of them are actually making any real money. I can't tell you that because I don't know. I don't have any other hard numbers. It just simply says that 80% of the people who do this affiliate marketing sort of stuff will either make no money or they can make $80,000, somewhere in that range, which means you could do your affiliate marketing and you could make $20 in an entire year, or you could do your affiliate marketing and you might make $70,000, depending on how you work the system and how it all comes together. I guess, like I said, it all depends on you and how much hustle you've got and how much you want to try and what system you use. A lot of little complicated things that go into it. Now, there's a 15% margin of this group of affiliate marketers who do very well. And that's back to that 80,000 mark. Somewhere between 80,000 and $1. They wanted to do that. To $1 million in a year. So 15% will make 80,000 to $1 million. This site was saying $80,000 to $1 million. And I am not a math major in any way, but I know the disparity between 0 and 80,000 is pretty big, but the disparity between 80,000 and $1 million is even bigger. So, of that 15%, what is it? Like I said, it would be pure speculation for me to say that we're talking 3% of that 15, maybe, is making over 200,000, if that. Like I said, pure speculation. And then, of course, the big number, which is about 1% of these people are making 6 to 7 figures, which, of course, 6 figures is upwards of 100,000, 7 figures, $1 million. And those numbers are in a month. So I don't know what that 1% is doing, but whatever it is, it's completely different than what the 15 and the 80% are doing. Big time. Because they are making a mint. And the other people are, some percentage of them are doing okay, and another percentage of them are doing strong. But there's no real, to me, when you're talking about numbers that wide, the disparity is insane. So by saying that 80% of the people making 0 to 80,000, and then 15% will make 80,000 to $1 million, and then 1% will make 100,000 to $1 million in a month doing this. So I would like to combine that number and just make that wide gap, saying that like 85% of the people, no, 95% of the people are making $0 to $1 million a year. That's like throwing a dart at the broadside of an aircraft carrier full of numbers. And a lot of those numbers are going to be less than 1,000. Every once in a while, you'll see 1,000,000 on there, but you got to be pretty accurate to hit that million. So it's like the chances of you getting rich by doing this, well, I'm going to say they're not great. In fact, I would say you should probably go ahead and take that $67 that you were going to spend on one of those AI setups, or you should take that $17 that you could have taken to get $1,000 in your account, and you should just buy lottery tickets, because you probably have a better chance and a lot less stress than you would trying some of this affiliate marketing AI stuff without having a serious background in it. To be a part of that 1% who can make $100,000 to $1 million in a month. Just from what I can tell, that's how that would work. But now, Advanced Point gets me some information that's some feel-good information. This is about real hustlers. People kind of like Patrick Houston of Zenith Transportation, and of course, Houston's Hustle Hobbies that you can find on YouTube, just like you can find the lip. Real business owners have to fight for every single dollar that they get. Advanced Point site tells me that the God's truth is that 2/3 make it 2 years. That's a long time for a small business owner to survive. 2 years. Half can survive about 5 years, and 1/3 of that will make it 10 years or more. So think about it. Out of 100% of all the small businesses, 2/3 of that is going to survive 2 years. It's hard, man. A whole third's not even going to make it 2 years. They're going to try their dream, and it's just simply not going to work. Now you take that third, and you cut that third in half. And then you take 2/3 rather, and that becomes your 100. And then you cut that 2/3 in half. And those guys are going to fight and scrape and scratch for 5 years to make their dream. And then that half that you've got left, you cut that half into thirds. And only 1/3 of that is going to be around 10 years or more. And truthfully, that's the people who are really getting their dream to come true. But any of these people who actually go out there and try their business got to see a little bit of the reality of their dream. And truthfully, they're not trying to get rich quick, because they know that it's the long game that they're trying to play. They want to be in that third of businesses that can survive 10 years or more. And if you can make it to the point where you do somehow get rich, so be it. But in order to actually survive for that length of time, it's not even about the money. It's really not. It's about loving what you do. So to get rich would be, say, a side effect of the passion that you have for your business. And for certain, that's what's going to make you rich, not necessarily in the bank, but for sure in spirit and in fulfillment of life's pursuits. And at the end of the day, I don't think we can get any richer than that, right? So truthfully, I would have to say that that's a real good way to end the main event and ring the bell on this episode. Now that we're done talking about trying to get rich, let's talk about trying to spear some people who truly, truly deserve it, right? Now, I know out there are some people who have some shady business practices, and they take the people who are working very hard to try to get their work in and done and get an honest living and to treat people fairly and enjoy what they're doing truly in their business. Their job becomes not just their job, it becomes really their way of life. The people that are going to be the subject of the spear of the week this week are those shady people who take advantage of small business owners. The ones who say that they're going to provide the products that business owners need in order to make their business a success, but don't follow through. For example, you run a bakery. You have a supplier who's going to deliver you both your flour and your sugar. And you've set an agreement where you're going to have deliveries every week at Tuesday. Because you know that that's how you're going to run it. You're going to set yourself up, and you know that you're going to need your flour and your sugar on Tuesday in order to maintain your week's supply. The people who are going to get the spear of the week are those places that flake on their delivery. I'm sorry, I can't bring it to you until Wednesday. It's no good. Need my stuff now. But don't worry, I got you. I'll get you. Can't have that. Business needs to be on point. You were honest with them to give them their money. They weren't honest with you to bring you your product. Those are the people who are the spear of the week this week. Now, to the new segment. I have picks for week 2. Now, granted, as I'm recording, it is November 5th. Not November 5th. Sorry. It is September 5th. And the first game hasn't happened yet. Ravens and Chiefs haven't played. So I can't tell you the results of what I did of my picks from week 1 this week. I can give you my picks for week 2, and then next week I can then sort of play catch up. And that's kind of how I'm going to do it. So, my picks for week 2. I look at the first game that I wanted to see here was the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins. Happens to come out on Thursday, September 12th. Happy birthday to my cousin Matt, and to my mother, September 12th. Now, for those two, I could certainly tell you that if they were both going to place bets, they would have a very happy birthday in what I would consider a pretty good scoring game. If you put money on the Buffalo Bills, I think they're going to edge out the Dolphins 35-31. Now, on the Sunday game is going to be the Cousins Bowl. There's two of them every year, the Cousins Bowl. I have my cousin David, who's a Commanders fan, and both my cousins Timmy and his brother Chris are Giants fans. I believe that David, your guy, is going to win yet again. I think that Jalen Daniel is going to be the real deal, and I think that in a couple of years, we're going to see the Commanders take over the NFC East. And I think this is going to be a stepping stone for them to do so. I think that this one is going to be yet another game that they're going to win, because I think they're going to be the sleepers of the entire league. Giants 10, Commanders 20. Here's a game that I think that I'd like to see both teams lose, but unfortunately, that can't happen. The Bengals and Chiefs are going to play each other, and I hate to admit it, I think the Chiefs are going to win another high-scoring game for this week, and I'm going to go Chiefs 38, Bengals 35. Next, the Houston Texans. Man, oh man, I miss that head coach from the Texans as a defensive coordinator in San Francisco, but he had to move on and move upward. And boy, his boys did good in the playoffs last year, and I think that Caleb Williams, to me, I'm not necessarily sold on, like the Chicago Bears faithful are. And I think that because last week the Bears aren't going to be playing a tough opponent, they play the Titans in week 1, and I think it's possible the Bears could pull that one off. But Caleb Williams is going to wake up in reality, because now there's going to be some real tape on him, and you're giving him a genius of a defensive coordinator for a head coach who he's going to be up against, and a playoff team from last year in the Texans. I think that the Bears are going to get beaten pretty comfortably, 27-10 Texans. Now, the 49ers versus the Vikings. 49ers have had some issues in Minnesota, but I think that they're going to clear that all up, and I think they're going to win fairly comfortably, 28-17. So my picks for week 2, one more time: Bills over the Dolphins, 35-31. Commanders over the Giants, 20-10. Chiefs over the Bengals, 38-35. Texans over the Bears, 27-10. And my 49ers over the Vikings, 28-17. That's pretty much how I see week 2 in the games that I've chosen to pick. Now it's time to shut the door on the show. I had another fun time doing it. I hope you had a fun time listening. You can check me out on Instagram at PhilipHenderson5102. The Facebook group of The Lip. Join us. There's always room for one more. That's the way we're going to do it. Always room for one more. No matter how many people there are, we could always squeeze in one more person to join the Lip Facebook group. I am pretty excited about the next several weeks of shows. going to slowly but surely begin to set up another interview with the artist, I'm going to simply call her. I can't wait for that interview. It'll be fun. It's going to be a good show. Got to just iron out a few details, but when they're ironed out, you will definitely enjoy the conversation that I have with her. Also, I said it before that I wasn't going to do a story episode until I had some more stories to tell. And I believe that sometime by the beginning of October, middle of October, boy, I'm going to have a few good stories to tell. And one of them is certainly going to be on its way after a few weeks from the end of this month. Whew, boy, I'm going to definitely have a story to tell you. And I can't wait for it because I think you'll find it very fascinating. And hopefully it'll come up and have a, how can I put it, a strong rehabilitative ending. Weird to say it like that, but when the story comes out, rehab will probably be involved. Physical, not drugs, physical rehab, but we'll see how it all comes to play. Now, I have words of wisdom, and of course, these words of wisdom happen to be for everybody who's listening and who wants to get rich eventually, maybe, possibly, and who wants to get rich quick. And it's simple words that everybody's probably heard a million times before. And those words are, if something looks to be too good to be true, it probably is. If something looks too good to be true, it probably is. And for certain, if you do in fact want to try to create a business and make some money, you got to know it's not going to be easy. It's going to take a lot of work, and there's nothing quick about it. There's nothing quick about it. On that note, my name is Phil, and you have just listened to The Lip.